Hey guys, so I just want to say quickly before the class starts, I did recently injure / strain and dislocate my patella, which is a fancy word for kneecap, which is obviously the top part of your knee. With you guys, if you have the exact same knee injury as me, but you damaged just a little bit more than I did, absolutely double check with your doctor or physiotherapist that you can slide your way into each of these postures. Any of the poses that you see in this video, if you are comfortable doing it as a position itself, see if you can't try between transitions as well. And if your knee complains and screams at you for any of it, I won't be offended if you go to a different class. I was doing a brief yoga pose, obviously incorrectly, per my own flow. I wasn't following anybody. For a little bit of a rundown, I was in middle forward fold. I was just trying to slide my left heel out. I didn't have a hard enough lock on my knee, or more specifically a good enough bend and enough engagement in my kneecap, as I obviously discovered up the hard way. When I was coming back into the transition of right side pyramid pose, that's when all troubles occurred for me. My heel, bit my tongue. My heel slipped out a bit too quick. Hadn't acknowledged it just yet, at least not until I started to feel the twisting and contorting of my knee, specifically patella. I landed with the right leg straight, left leg bends in, and somewhere upon there I actually managed to lock my kneecap back in place, which was nice of it. I did that by itself. Of course, I'm taking my own knee credit. But I went to go to the doctor's, and then she recommended a MRI, which we then went to a clinic and they took the MRI scan, obviously. And just as it turns out, I did dislocate my patella, strained a lot of muscles, and specifically the muscle that connects the bottom half of the patella and my shin bone. I tore that. I think that couldn't heal, just taking it easy. Some very light-mannered yoga poses and whatnot. Hence this flow, I came up with this. I put it to the test, and not once have my knee felt invaded, vulnerable, or violated, or anything of the sorts. I do still feel it a little bit per poses, but it's just more of an awareness sensation than what it is of invading my knee. Sadly, when you do first do anything to a kneecap, dislocation or strain or bone bruise or broken it, that's not a word, or having broken, or whatever the case was that you do with your knee, it is accessible to unfortunately do it again and again. This is just to help those with strained / former dislocated kneecaps. Do what you will with this flow, and thank you all for watching, including not skipping through this intro. Bye guys. Alright my friends, if you're following along with me with the rehabilitation side of it, you will need a yoga block or two, a mini skateboard, a yoga strap or fitness band, and last but not least, a pillow, however thick or however thin. We are starting off with the first rehabilitation exercise. I'm essentially using the skateboard so that I can glide my heel nice and smoothly close to my glute. This is going to encourage our kneecap to stretch back out, especially the tense, maybe the torn muscles. Just using the strap to help anchor my heel close to my glutes. I reach up to where my knee feels the most resistance, and then I straighten back out again. I do this up to about 10 to 15 times, or 10 to 15 reps. From here, setting aside your yoga strap or fitness band, setting aside the skateboard, grabbing both your yoga blocks or whatever solid substance you're using, placing it underneath and behind your knee. We're doing some knee lifts. You're going to engage your uppermost thigh just behind the knee, lifting up your foot and shin, using the strength of your thigh. This is just to make sure that our kneecap is tracking nicely. What I mean by tracking is making sure that the kneecap is moving up and down the way it's supposed to, since it is a free moving cartilage of the leg. Especially if you did dislocate your patella like I did, but it also clicked back into place. This is definitely not only a great way to make sure that it is moving up and down like it is supposed to, but it's also a great way to strengthen the kneecap as well. So I do about 20 reps of these. Now you're taking both those yoga blocks or whatever solid substance you're using. I'm very slowly moving my heel closer to my glutes, but then I'm lifting up into a supported bridge. So from here, although it looks like I'm just laying still, evidently I am shifting my weight back and forth between my left and right heel, engaging closest to the inner thighs and the knees. Because we are bearing a lot of weight in our heels, this is just a good way to make sure that our injured knee can take a lot of the weight. It is shifting from side to side. Now from here, if you were following me with the rehabilitation side of it, you're setting aside the yoga blocks now, coming into the actual flow itself. So you're going to give your legs a cuddle from underneath the knees. Just gonna rock gently back and forth, giving our lumbar spine a nice massage, using the strength of our arms and a little bit of core strength to sway side to side. For a lot of these postures, we're actually going to be using our limbs as another factor of props. From here, releasing your right leg, but keeping your left leg. It's going to help encourage a stretch through our left glutes, and you might feel a nice light stretch through your right hip flexor. We're definitely going to be giving a lot of our lower body some TLC as far as all this limbs cuddling goes. Now releasing your left leg nice and slow and grabbing onto your right leg. Same thing, you're just switching sides. So now you might feel a nice stretch through your right glutes. You might feel it in your left hip flexor as well. Releasing and now shifting your weight off to the right side of your mat. Sending your right leg across, you're coming into spinal twist. I personally like to place my left hand onto my right knee to help weigh my leg down and look over my right shoulder to encourage a deeper stretch in my spine. If however there is too much strain or pressure on your spine, you can absolutely use props. And now we're switching out sides, shifting your waist over to the left side and bringing your left knee across. Now we're focusing on right side spinal twist, looking over my right shoulder and using my right hand to lower my left knee. Coming back through the center, we're going to come into our Supta Baddha Konasana butterfly pose. I'm personally choosing to grab a yoga block in this instance, but you can also support your left thigh with your left hand, or you can use any sort of prop you'd like. This is just to help give our injured leg some mechanism and insurance. We're also letting gravity do its thing as far as helping open our hips in this posture. You might find you don't even need a prop, but I personally chose to so I don't end up pushing my luck. And now we're coming back out, sitting aside your yoga block, and we're coming into a happy baby. If grabbing your feet is not within your practice, too tight of hips, whether or not that's got anything to do with an injured knee, by all means you can grab onto your ankles, or if grabbing your feet is too easy, you can try grabbing onto your toes. Or if none of the above is happening, by all means use a yoga strap or fitness band to pull your legs closer to you. But this is otherwise an amazing stretch for both sides of the hips at the same time. And now you're releasing your right leg, but you're keeping your left foot coming into single-legged happy baby. This is definitely a great way to isolate the stretch in the left hip, and you might feel a more increased stretch in the right hip flexor as well. From here, I personally like to switch out my grip, so I'm gripping the inside of my left foot. We are coming into extended leg happy baby on the left side, straightening out through the knee. We don't hold it for as long, or at least I didn't. My knee wasn't bothered by it, I just didn't want to push my luck. So now we're instantly switching out sides, coming into right side happy baby, gripping on the outside of our feet to begin with. So this time we are isolating the right side of our hip, and you might definitely feel it in the left hip flexor as well. Try to make sure that you're keeping your shoulders pressed to the ground and head is relaxed. From here, switching out the grip again on the inside of your foot. You're going to straighten out through your right leg. It is still fine if you have a micro bend in the knee. Just going to allow our right foot to sink close to the ground. And I do hold it for a lot longer on this side due to less resistance, and of course I don't have to worry about pushing my luck with my knee on my right side. But you hold it for as long as you can, whatever is comfortable. Releasing the right leg, and now bringing both your knees together. Going to spread your arms wide, and using a subtle amount of core strength, we're going to sway our legs side to side, just to add a little bit more of a massage to the lumbar spine. Rolling through and keeping your dud leg hovered. This is the part that requires the pillow. You're going to slide it underneath your shin, or whichever leg needs the assistance. Then we're going to come into a very basic cat-cow, moving at your own pace and breathing in and out at your own pace. This is just to help warm up our spine, get out any cramps that might be lingering. Setting aside your pillow and stepping your left foot forward into a high lunge, keeping your palms grounded or balancing on your fingertips. We are stretching out our right hip flexor. And now shifting your way back into pyramid pose. I'm keeping a subtle bend in my left knee for obvious reasons, but if you can straighten out a fraction more, go for it. This is just a great way to straighten out and strengthen and stretch through our hamstring and calf. Now shifting your weight back again into high lunge, still keeping the palms or fingertips grounded. We're once again focusing a stretch in our right hip flexor. Now shifting back into pyramid pose. So we're refocusing a stretch on our hamstring and calf on the left side. I'm personally choosing to lower my right knee first, then I'm sending my left leg back and then pressing up into downward dog. We're only staying here for a brief moment. So now we're coming into some spinal rolls, just for an additional version of cat-cow, but in plank/downward dog version. Just a few more of these at your own pace. And now stepping your right leg forward, we're coming into right side high lunge, keeping your palms grounded. I'm keeping quite the bend in my left knee because I can't straighten out that far, not versus my right side anyway. Shifting your way back now into pyramid pose. So now we're focusing on an intense stretch on the right side, the right hamstring and calf. And now shifting your weight back forward into high lunge. This is going to encourage a nice stretch in our left hip flexor. So now we're heel toeing our right foot to the left side of our mat, slowly and gracefully and cautiously coming down into your pigeon. If you need some props here, specifically under your right hip, maybe even a pillow under your left knee if it is your left knee that is injured, by all means add your props. But otherwise, first try coming down, and if you are completely comfortable and no part of your body is bothered, we're now chilling out in pigeon pose. You can absolutely get as playful with this as you need to, adjust as many times as you need to. But we're here for about, say, another 20 to 30 seconds. So now we're rising up slowly, swinging your left leg around. Going to come into the opposite side, left side pigeon. However much of a bend in your knee you're fine with. I'm in more of a modified pigeon on this side because obviously my left knee is my out of action knee. As you can tell by my hips, I'm quite off center. The middle of my knee actually meets up with the middle of the top half of my mat. My right leg, however, did manage to stay in the middle like it's supposed to. It is completely fine if you need to be in a modified version of pigeon, meaning your hips off center. Absolutely do what you can manage, and whether or not you still require props or not. So just breathing here, we're giving our glutes an amazing stretch both sides. My left glute was definitely very grateful for this stretch. Rising back up slowly, we're now going to send our right leg ahead of us, both feet and legs stretched out front of us. We're coming into seated forward fold. Grab your props if you need to, otherwise either grabbing your thighs, your calf muscles, or your ankles, your feet or your toes, or if besides thighs you can't reach anywhere ahead of your knees, by all means use yoga straps. Bending from the hips, not the lumbar spine. I'm just going to breathe here for a few more seconds, just to double the amount of stretch in our hamstring and calves. Coming back up nice and slowly. Shifting your weight forward just slightly, grabbing your yoga block if you'd like. We're coming into another Supta Baddha Konasana, butterfly pose. I'm just once again using my block to add some insurance to my other left leg. Sometimes it doesn't mind this pose, other times it's just a little bit sensitive. So I'm just adding a bit of a precaution on the side regardless. Coming back up and setting your yoga block aside, swing your legs around again up into downward dog. We're going to get into the strengthening side of this flow. Right now, just balancing in our downward dog. From here, we're coming into a spinal stretch / one of the many detoxification poses. Going to reach your right hand to your left calf or left ankle if you can reach, and then look up and out to your under armpit. Then switching out sides, left hand to right ankle or calf. So we're just stretching out both sides of the spine and a detoxification posture. Coming back through to center, I'm personally lowering my right knee first, sending my left leg ahead of me, and then coming up into a high lunge, keeping our fingers grounded just for a moment, then coming on up to more of a modified warrior, so we aren't so sunk with the hips. This is just a great way to strengthen through our left leg, especially if your left leg is your dud side. Bringing our right elbow to our left knee now into a twisted warrior, an amazing detoxification posture. It's also going to help really encourage a lot of strength through our left leg. Sending your right foot to meet up with your left leg, and instantly we are in our twisted chair on our left side. Just holding this for a brief moment and now coming into our regular chair, sinking low with the hips, but honouring how deep of a bend our knees can take. And now switching sides, left elbow to right knee, so we're in our right side twisted chair. And now with as many literal steps as it takes, you're going to send your left foot behind you, transitioning our way into our twisted warrior on our right side. Rising up in the upper body, reaching your hands up to the sky in a very modified warrior. Then lowering ourselves back down to the mat, planting our hands. I took an extra step back because I felt safe. Now stepping back into our downward dog, holding here for a few moments. I am pre-organizing my yoga blocks because we will be coming into a supported malasana eventually. But first, some more spinal rolls just to continue waking up the body, warming up the muscles, just strengthening everywhere. Just a few more rolls at your own pace. This time, however, coming down into chaturanga, landing nice and gently. Upward facing dog. Now from here, dipping your right hip, but being very mindful if it is your right knee that is injured. Shifting over to the left, same rule applies, be nice and gentle with your knee. Coming back through to center, pre-tucking toes and pushing back up into your downward dog. Holding for one more breath. Now taking some large moonwalks to the front of your mat. Prepping your yoga blocks or whatever solid substance you plan on using. Going to use it as like a little seat. So I do adjust my feet accordingly. My left foot stays a little bit further out than what my right does, only because of the resistance on my kneecap. If however you can come down a whole lot further into regular malasana, that is awesome. You might even actually need some more height. So just digging my elbows into the inner part of my thigh, more of just behind my knee. Our back is nice and straight, our head is nice and tall. We're breathing nice and deeply. We're opening our hips at a slightly different angle. We're releasing our arms behind us, planting our hands behind us, even if you weren't on bolsters or yoga blocks. If you were on them, you're going to set them aside. And then we're casually and slowly and with ease, shifting our way back into our second final resting spot, Shavasana, corpse pose. I chose to spread my arms, feeling the grass beneath me. My feet more open than hip width. If your knee does require some support underneath, by all means grab a prop. Otherwise, if it doesn't mind being semi-straight like mine, So now we're just enjoying everything we accomplished throughout this flow. Being very, very appropriately grateful that our bodies still allow us into these postures, even if we have to modify more than usual. We stretch out our knee, we strengthen our knee, and give the rest of our body something to really enjoy. We're taking a lot of strength and a lot of awakening throughout all the muscles in our body. Now we're relaxing every single muscle. However, if you do require getting a move on throughout your day, go to sit on up in your own time. I still chose to grab a yoga block. And yeah, my household puppy Jules wanted to come along and say hello. So by all means, you can find your own comfort zone, your own happy seated position, whatever you feel comfortable in. Whether or not you can cross your legs and whether or not you require some props. So I'm just going to stay here in seated position, easy seated position. Taking in a few more deep breaths. Sitting in silence, stillness. Opening our eyes slowly. Just going to take in a few more deep breaths. Bringing in some awareness and movement back into your body. I want to thank you all so much for following or just viewing this video. If it benefited for you, I am so grateful. Or if it just gave you a few ideas for future classes or future exercises, I'm twice as grateful. Thank you all so much for following or just watching. I really do hope you enjoyed the benefit of this flow. I shall see you all very soon. Namaste.